Welcome to another broadcast of Marketing Blueprint.
Gary Thompson, the sales communication professional, best-selling author and private equity investor says, master the client conversion ladder and optimize your business success. He continues, many rising stars in business try to get from A to Z in a split second in the client conversion journey. That approach will set you up for frustration, time, money, and effort being wasted. The alphabet has 26 letters. Each letter has great significance in words formation and in human expression. The client conversion process has many steps, and when these steps are overlooked, it negatively influences your ability to attract and communicate with the ideal client. You must invest in breaking through the know, like, and trust barriers that allow you to win in business. He went on to say, the first step in your client conversion journey begins with relationships. 1. Fill the relationship gaps. 2. Leverage relationships to overcome client rejection. 3. And position your brand to stand out in the market. Gary wants you to be successful and invites you to call us today to help you master the client conversion ladder, optimize your brand recognition, and increase the cash flow of your business.
Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into leadership for business success. Now, one of the things that we have recognized is that there's a massive leadership deficit. And before the end of today's program, you will understand why I'm making this statement. Now, everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be healthy and everyone wants to be wealthy. But over 90% of the global population do not know how to position themselves to achieve the above. And in most cases, when people do understand how to achieve happiness, health, and wealth, they never apply themselves to achieve this. And it is in the application where you get the result. And this is one of the reasons why we say that there is a massive deficit, a massive leadership deficit that is sucking the oxygen out of the lives of millions of people around the world. Today, we will examine this topic because to be successful in business, it is so important to be able to apply essential leadership concepts. It is your ability to apply these leadership concepts that is going to make the massive difference in you just having a concept and you being able to attain that concept. Now, to join me in today's conversation, I have two dynamic personalities that will be with me here today. One, I have Kanchan, and Kanchan, she is a fashion consultant. I have also Clement Frank, and Clement Frank, is an economist by profession, and he is the author of Multi-Team. I must welcome you guys. How are you guys?
Good. They're good.
Awesome,
Good week.
awesome. Frank,
Well, it's a beautiful afternoon, a lovely Saturday afternoon, and great weekend, wonderful weekend.
awesome. To get the conversation started, I want to focus on leadership for business success. And there's a couple of things that I want to go into. To be successful in business and in life, I do believe that there's five important concepts that
And here,
you need to understand as a leader. One is to understand leadership in the context of self-empowerment. And I will explain what is that as we go into today's program. Second, it is important for you to understand leadership in the context of team dynamics. When you have a strong team and you're able to delegate effectively, it really helps to push the process forward. Third, there is leadership in the context of understanding your consumer base. The more you understand about the consumer market, is the better able you are to innovate products and services that aligns to the needs, wants, and expectations of the demographics. So there's a high degree of leadership that you need here when you want to be successful in business. Fourth is what I call leadership in the context of public partnership. As a leader in business, it is important for you to understand how to foster healthy, productive relationship with public personalities. And public personalities can be influencers. You have so many type of influencers that can really help to push you forward in business. They are community leaders. they are institutional leaders, they are political leaders, all of which, once you can establish relevance, they can play a pivotal role in helping to push your vision forward. So, as a leader, it's important for you to understand the important role that these players, these stakeholders, can contribute to moving your vision forward. Last but not least, it's important to understand leadership in the context of what we call your TOPA, and that is your targeted performance outcome. As a leader, you want to know what is it that you want to accomplish. You should have a clear mental picture of what is it that you want to achieve. And leadership is not blind. So when it comes to leading yourself, you need to have a clear mental picture as to what is your end game, what is the end results, and how to achieve it. So understanding leadership in terms of how to set goals, clear goals, and understanding a clear method, proven theory, and that is now science to achieve that end results are important concepts for you to understand. Understanding these things is what makes you a better leader, because you're not a leader who is leading blindly. You're a leader who have the data based on the research. So you're now able to get high reward. You're able to get measurable results. You're able to get predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy because you follow the science. All right, you follow the science. You collected the information and you have best practices around the science. So I'm going to pause here for now and I'm going to open up to Kanchan and then I'm going to come to Frank for them to share their thoughts, their blueprint for what is leadership and for business success. Kanchan?
Yes. Okay. So my take on leadership for business success in my industry in relation to off-price fashion and fashion industry in general, there's some tips that we can keep in mind that will be useful for I think various industries as well. It's like one of the most important key here is, I think, customer centric leadership is something that I tend to lean towards, because for us the ultimate goal of our business is basically to sell to our customers. So I look at it like, one of the points that I look at it is through customer centric leadership, because in our world, in the off price fashion world, knowing, and in any other businesses, I believe knowing what the customer values is really really important. And it's not just like it we can't just think from our shoes of what of like, as in what we sell is something that they always like. They may not like what we sell, but they may have their own thoughts about what sells for them, and they inform us. So we got to learn to kind of see things from their perspective as well, which is why I said it's a customer centric leadership. Because what matters is, at the end of the day, we get what they need so that they can ultimately sell to the mass market. So the customers are very important here. And I think that when I work with brands, I also see the customer feedback and their buying patterns. And when you understand what your customers need, you are able to provide exactly that, right? And that's how and then we take that information and we bring it to our teams, and each of the team member in the company, like we I believe that each one of them, it's not that the boss is the leader, it's each of us lead our own divisions in the way that we feel would be good and would be beneficial for the company. Like in the sense of like, to give an example, like my salesperson, he has to lead. The way he leads is how his leadership works in his role is, he takes the charge of first deciding, okay, we have this item in front of us, who can I bring it to, who can I send it to first, who can I show it to first, because he knows his clients very well, of course, so he knows who buys what. And in order to kind of save time and also to kind of push for a quicker turnover, like he goes to whoever he believes that has the highest chances of wanting to purchase that particular item. If they say no, then we pass on to the other customers and so on. But basically, he takes charge of making the decision that he feels that, okay, this is the most profitable, this is the most, if we sell to this person, is the quickest way for us to flip the inventory and bringing us profits which are good, and also higher turnover in the finances as well, so it doesn't become a dead stock for a long time like that. So what we purchase, we sell it off like in an instant as well. So he takes the lead in that department for him. Like in my case, what I take the lead on is, I make the decision on I make the decision on what kind of clothing offers, that if I were to get these various offers of deals available out there from various countries and being offered to me, I make the decision of, I start to filter what I think is good for our company, what sells based on the data, of course, of what sells and what doesn't sell. And I take my decision from there to be like, okay, is this worth me reviewing or not? Like, if these are good deals, I will review them and I will bring it to my team's attention as well. And some of them who maybe say, hey, you know what, I'm not sure about this, or you know what, we didn't do well on this in the past. And if I believe that we did well, like from my experiences in my previous companies, that I believe this is an item that could do well, I will push them to be like, you know what, try. Don't say no. You know? So for me, that's key. Like I really encourage them to try, because in this company there is a lot of, say, brands, and like they don't know outdoor clothing do really well. They don't know camping clothing do really well. I do, because I've worked with that. They don't know hunting clothing do really well. So that's where I come in, is I kind of give the push that try, show it to the customers. Don't just reject it and say no just because you don't know the brand. So that's where I take charge, and that's where my leadership comes in. It's because if that works, then I'm opening new avenues for sales for the company too, and of the offerings that we are able to give our
All right, thanks for that share,
Mhm,
Kanchan. As I listen to you, I'm listening for the buzzwords that resonates with leadership,
mhm,
and you use a number of them.
mhm,
You talk about he takes charge and he takes the lead.
mhm,
You talk about you make the decision. And what I'm looking at as you make those statements, and for your leader to be in that position that they're in right now,
mhm,
where they can take charge. It's an essential leadership skills that I find is lacking among many persons, millions of persons who might be rising stars in business. The ability to take charge, the ability to take ownership, the ability to say, this is my responsibility and really own it.
mhm,
There's a challenge in that. And what I have found is that the challenge rests tremendously on the fact of the individual sense of self. And the more you understand yourself, the more you have confidence, the more you expose in terms of how you apply yourself, the more you build up the experience in this regards.
mhm,
I believe it is what really helps you to become a better leader in this specific area. And
mhm,
I do believe that perhaps because most people learn through the theory and not the practice,
mhm.
it hinders their full development of that sense of self because you only learn it in the theory.
Yeah.
You want to pass over now to the because in your world, that individual I want to show you would have had to go through many months, many years of getting the job done and
Mhm,
feeling confidence doing what they're doing to
mhm,
be able to execute the way they're doing. So I really love what you would have said, and I just want to emphasize in our program, we recognize the knowledge is important. The
mhm.
knowledge to do what needs to be done is important. But what's equally important is you having the ability, the confidence, the will to step out and apply. All
Yeah.
right. If you don't apply, you don't get a result. But I love what you would have said. Frank, I would love to hear from you from a catalyst leader perspective. What are those factors of leadership that can really help to push a business forward? Frank, did you hear me?
When there's efficiency, if the business is successful and your leadership is efficient, then it's time. Because what happens in effective leadership, it drives the performance, it inspires the teams, and it shapes the organizational culture. And this is all crucial for achieving those strategic goals. What we find also that there are some ways, some key ways that efficient leadership that will contribute to the success of a business. And for example, if there's a clear vision and direction. When we're setting goals, if the leader articulates a clear vision, it will help to align the organization's efforts. And this clarity allows team to understand the priorities and focus on what matters most. Of course, there's also the strategic planning, because as an efficient or catalyst leader, you develop and you communicate actionable strategies which will guide the organization towards long-term objectives. Of course, we need to empower, we need to engage. And in doing that, there is something called delegation. So the effective leaders empowers the team by delegating authority, delegating responsibility, fostering a sense of ownership and accountability. And of course, under that, there is motivation. So when you're recognizing and rewarding contribution, what happens is that the leaders will boost the morale and engagement. When you boost morale, when you boost engagement, it leads to a higher productive. And of course, effective communication is unnecessary. And so you need to have an open dialogue because efficient leaders maintain open lines of communication. They encourage feedback and ideas, which in turn fosters a culture of trust and collaboration. Managing of conflict resolution when there is effective communication, because a strong leader includes the ability to manage conflicts constructively, which ensures that issues are addressed promptly, are addressed effectively. Let's look at adaptability and agility. What happens when there's a change management? Because in today's fast-paced business environment, leaders who are adaptable can pivot strategies quickly in response to market changes or to challenges. And then there's continuous improvement. Because an effective leader, you will encourage a culture of continuous learning and improvement, which will help teams to stay ahead and stay ahead of the industry trends. Team development is necessary where coaching and mentorship is concerned, because the good leaders will invest in the development of their team members by providing coaching and mentorship that will cultivate skills and career growth. When there's development, you can also have what we consider diversity and inclusion, because every efficient leader foster their diverse teams. The teams are diverse by age, by ethnicity, historical background, cultures, and which brings a varied perspective and ideas. When you have this perspective and ideas and you really include them, it drives innovation. It drives creativity. Performance management is where you set the standards for you set the standards for leaders establishing the performance and metrics to evaluate how the progress in the business is going, and the whole team's accountable for results. You also have a
But
data-driven
Frank,
decision when
yeah,
you're
I just want to ask a question. I love everything that you're saying. The leader sets the matrix, and setting the matrix is important. So I totally agree with that. But the question I want to ask, in your experience, do you find that sometimes that there is a matrix, there is key performance indicators, but in spite of the fact that you have the matrix, you have key performance indicators, the
in
individual
my
is not necessarily optimizing how they perform and what might be the factors. They might be bright, they might have the academics, but there are some essential leadership skills that may be lacking. In your experience, how much does the sense of self, because leadership is about, you learn about this, the ability to lead yourself first, but the ability to lead yourself is not common knowledge.
and that's true. Not everybody who's placed in a leadership position with responsibilities leadership are equipped for leaders to be a leader. And if you are right where you have to learn to lead yourself. You have to have what is called emotional intelligence. You have to have the ability, courage to say what you mean and mean what you say. And what I have found in my experience in management is a lot of persons who are placed in leadership lacks the not just the charisma, but the characteristics of what a leader is supposed to bring to the table. You find that from my experience, a lot of leaders become self-conscious when somebody within the team go off and study for higher learning. And the first thing is that, oh, you're coming for take my job. Really? For me, if somebody from my team goes on their own to develop themselves, I would want to embrace that person. I would want to encourage that person. And so you find that a lot of businesses and organizations are not performing to their optimal because of lack of leadership.
Good.
I don't know if that
I
answers your
agree.
question.
I have to agree. But as I agree with what you have said, I do believe this is so important to analyze the root causes for the lack of leadership. And from the research that we are doing, we are seeing that some of those root causes lies in the fact that many institutions across the world, they are orienting the student candidate, the student body, to the theory and not necessarily practical. So when they come into the organization, they understand a theory, but because of limited know-how in terms of the practical, it is undermining how they apply that body of knowledge to affect desired results within the organization. All right. So I do believe as an institutional leader who wants to grow a big business, you want to build your brand and where you're, generating 7 and 9 figure income. You want to be certain that you have the type of leadership mindset within the organization that can drive that. And I find that very often you're the individual who might be in the leadership because you have been taught a theory, not the practice. You want to achieve success, but you just don't know how to do it. And in cases, even when you know it and you bring in the team dynamics is not the right team dynamics because the team that is based on theory, they have learned theory, they haven't really learned the practice. So what I'm seeing is that there is an urgent need for theory to coincide with practice to help to reduce what I call the leadership deficit that is evident within multiple sectors of institutions across the world. That's just my take on it.
10x Branding and Marketing LLC, powering the next generation of unicorns. At 10x B&M LLC, we specialize in market research, brand innovation, market integration, and client conversion optimization. Our team of experts is dedicated to providing the strategic insights and innovative solutions needed to accelerate growth and unlock your company's full potential. Whether you're a startup looking to attract investors and your ideal clients, or an established business ready for market expansion, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Let 10x Branding and Marketing LLC fuel your journey to exceptional business success. Contact us now for a free consultation on how we can position your business to become a unicorn.
But I'm going to come back to you shortly, Frank, and you can give your additional views on that. Kanchan, what are your thoughts in terms? I know you're in the field of fashion consultancy. I know that you have an institution that is up and running, and everything is at this stage is working the way you want it to work because you don't have a knowledge gap, you have a knowledge pool
Yeah.
that is supporting you to achieve the objective. But how important it is, in your perspective, to combine the theory
Yeah.
with the practice, and how important is these two things coming together to really optimize performance and leadership within the organization?
I mean, it's very important for us to the experiences that we gain is when we do, right? So it's
Yeah,
not when we just read about it or when we just talk about it. So it's so important to combine the two. Yes. And contrary to what people think, sometimes what you actually see in the books is nothing like what you experience in even in reality.
realize.
Yeah, it's very far out. They're very, very far out. And like again, like in when I was in like I don't have to go so far here. When I was in university, I mean, of course, my studies were finance, and now I'm doing completely different. But I did have a minor education in international trade. Even that's different. Because you deal with every country, they have their own regulations. Like that's a real life thing we have to follow, the customs duty rules, the importation rules. Like when you bring in stuff to the United States, different ball game there. When you import to lord knows Asia, if you decide to, different ball game there. So it's every country has its own regulations that we'd rather learn from the real thing on the ground as opposed to theory. I mean, theory is good. Nothing against theory, of course. Like it's always good to know, always good to read about it. But practical and like nothing is better than learning and by getting your hands dirty. That's the best way to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And that's how. And like in even like I tell you some, like how I was mentioning, sometimes the theory and the reality is two different things. Like that's even applicable in relationships that I build with the vendors. Like for instance, if you are at a at a just conversational purposes, like you if I were to share with someone, hey, I'm dealing with a Pakistan, like I'm dealing with a lot of vendors there, the first instinct for them, it's like, it's very dangerous, how do you do it, like it's a very dangerous country, it's not safe, blah blah blah, like they go on and on and on. How do you get goods from there? Is it safe? Is it this? Is it that? Because again, it's of what they read about the country. But it's because I've been there. I've actually personally met the vendors that I dealt with. I know that I have like I know what works and I know what doesn't work. I know how to keep myself covered. I know what kind of dealings to stay away from. I know what to move forward with. And what kind of people, like by what they say, I will know that this person knows what he's doing or he doesn't. Like you can tell by their personality as well as you get to know them. So again, that's also another thing that people like just generalize, like this country is like dangerous, how are you dealing with that, like you know what I mean, like it's difficult, you're not going to get nice goods from there, but turns out no, that's my daily bread and butter actually. So it's very different. Yeah, I mean, like theory and practical is very different. Like we can't just go by what people say or what people read, because they come from their own mindsets and experiences, right? And we come from our own experiences and mindsets. And like and for us, like I mean, if we were to take charge and to get our business running, there are some risks we have to take, but calculated risk, not just a random risk that you jump into without doing an extra research about it or knowledge about it or making good connections to help you out along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Great share, Kanchan.
Yeah.
And I love that you emphasize that there are differences. Frank, I'm going to come to you shortly. Differences between the theory and practice.
Mhm.
I just want to share a little bit just before I open up to Frank. What I've seen is that you have a lot of bright people who are fixed in their awareness of things, and they may have a knowledge gap, but they're now getting into business. And what I see happens a lot is that they have grown so accustomed in learning the theory that when you try to fast track them to get into the practical, they reject,
Yeah.
all right? And I can simply say this in the classroom I have, because what we do, because a business consultant, we orient you to what is the theory. But then we say, okay, you have enough of the theory. This has to be applied, because if you want the results, it has to
Yeah.
be applied. So let's get to the field and when get it, make the application. And there is when you start to see the eyeballs are rolling, the heads are turning, and the facial expressions are changing, because people have grown so accustomed to the theory. But the real results can only come when you get out to apply yourself. Now, I want to emphasize this as we work with people to get them to move from theory to practice. We are seeing that people have a lot of internal challenges that they have to come to. Let us take, for example, in sales, in marketing. I would say to people, you have to knock on door, you have to build relationships, and that could be very nerve-wracking for the average person who really don't have the knowledge and experience in doing so. It can be nerve-wracking for the average person that perhaps don't have the capital to build a team to do it for them in the case that they're not accustomed in doing this. But if you want to build a successful business, all right, an essential part of that business blueprint is to really ensure that you understand how to do marketing, how to do sales. And it's not adequate to know marketing and sales in the theory. Marketing and sales is fully optimized in the practical. And I find many persons struggle with this. And they're struggling with this because, again, of what I call a leadership deficit, a leadership deficit. And I think the leadership is going to come in when you're bringing the theory to them in the classroom, but then you're also saying, let us apply this. So by the time they get to the organization and they get to a position of leadership, they are not new to the concept of application. They are familiar with it. They have already developed their leadership, faculties along this line, and they can better help to push that vision forward. Frank, all to you. I know you are the expert in catalyst leadership, so I definitely would love to have your take on some of those internal challenges that new people, rising stars in business may have to overcome in positioning their brand to be successful. I still want to emphasize that I do believe that we have a major deficit in leadership, leadership deficit. And I do believe that that is literally accountable for where most people are at in their life. Where you are in life, I do believe is a direct correlation of where you are as a leader. All right. And I do believe that once we can get people to be at a better place with themselves in leadership, and you're going to get better outcome in business, you're going to get better outcome in life, you're going to get better outcome in every institutions. But I would love to hear any additional thoughts that you want to add, Kanchan,
In regards
to leadership, and what it takes to be successful in business.
okay. I think one of the crucial pointers is also in regards to problem solving and decision making skills. I think leaders, it's very important for leaders, and I reiterate, like every person in their own department is essentially a leader as well, because they also have to make some crucial decisions that will be interconnected with everybody else, right? And I feel that every leader should be able to assess situations, and like they have to study the situation, assess it, see possible solutions that they can come out of it, and because that will help navigate the challenges that they face, when making a crucial decision in regards to an important decision for the company. So I think problem solving and decision making skills is crucial, and of course persistence, like resilience, persistence, those are two points that are so important, because like the example I was giving earlier, like there are always some of us, it's not that one person knows better than the other, it's more of some of us know stuff that you don't know yet because you're not exposed to it. So I had to push and persist and be like, no, you must try, and not say no. So I think that the persistence here is key, and especially when you know that it's going to be good for the company, like we have to persist, and we have to be able to kind of through evidence, of course, show why this would work, so that the team is also motivated to try to go down that way, to try. Yeah.
Kanchan, you've made some very important points. Just before I go on out, let me acknowledge Atina. Hi, Atina. How are you? Great to have you here today.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to say a little bit, and then I'm going to put Atina in the hot seat. Today
Mm,
we're talking about leadership for business success, and I would definitely love to have your thoughts. But Kanchan, you say something that is very important. You talk about problem solving, you talk about decision making, and I do believe that all of this really ties into effective leadership. But I want to share some ideas in terms of problem solving and how this can be viewed from that leadership standpoint. Let me give an example. We have been interfacing with clients and from across the world. And one particular client, they had wanted to break into a new market. One of the challenges that they had was the language barrier. All right. The
mm,
language barrier posed a tremendous challenge for them, a tremendous problem. So the concept that they were playing around with is, should we train our team to go learn that language and then go interface with that market? It's going to take quite some time to train your team to learn a
yep.
new language. It's going to take months, possibly
Mm,
years. So that's not perhaps the most effective way to fix that problem. Perhaps you need to look at that in conjunction to perhaps finding someone that can speak their native tongue and
yep.
incorporate them into the organization. That's a faster way to fix the problem. So what we have recommended is, yes, you find someone with a native tongue that understands the language. The challenge that you have there is that they may understand the language, but they don't understand the nature of the business. So you have problems there too. So we start to look at different ways in which you could brainstorm that process and really find a fast solution to that problem. And I do believe that this is what leadership is about, because leadership sees the problem
Yeah.
But leadership really helps you to understand best practices, best approaches that you can use to give you the desired results, possibly within the shortest period of time. But again, what I'm seeing leadership is not about having great ideas. Yes, having great ideas is an essential part of it, but the ability to execute on those ideas, I think, is what is the really true test of what leadership really is. And the applying and the testing of the great ideas, I think that we see many persons fall short of this. And this is why I began the program. That millions of people across the world, they want to be happy,
Yeah.
and they know what to do to be happy, but still they're not happy. Millions of people across the world, they want to be healthy. They know what to do to be healthy, but they still don't apply themselves. They apply themselves in all of the wrong way. The doctor may say stay away from sugar because sugar has negative consequences. Stay away from flour because flour has negative consequences. But you take them out and they want everything with sugar and everything with flour, knowingly that it's gonna undermine their health. They are not able to, apply themselves the way they ought to apply themselves to maintain health. Millions of people across the world, they want to be wealthy. They know what to do, but guess what? They're not applying themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that there's a major divide between the knowledge of what to do and doing what needs to be done to achieve the objective. And I think, again, the true test of leadership is you knowing what needs to be done and you getting it done. Whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your social life, or whether it's in your corporate life, it's you knowing what needs to be done and getting out there and get it done. And I do believe that we have a major deficit across various sectors when it comes to doing what needs to be done to achieve a desired end result. Atina, your thoughts. Leadership for success in business.
Thank you for the clue.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yes, I was preparing. So I have to say, I do have a little bit of background as being trained. Robin Madonna's coach is through Tony Robbins' side of the coaching program. So when I'm implementing the leadership with the AI, I do put that part as a base concept as when I'm training the team. So how I usually is through the so basically, this stands for, well, instead of going to that part,
Atina, I'm not hearing you clear. You're cutting out. You seems to be some distance from your mic. You have a fan next to your mic.
I do. Are you able to hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, I hear the windy sound. I'm not exactly sure that's coming from my or something else.
And that's Frank, the windy sound.
All
It's
right,
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
in
I
there.
just fixed that. I
Uh,
fixed that. Go on, Atina.
can you hear me correctly now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. So I was just saying that when this comes to integrating the leadership, so what we usually see is just like what you guys were talking about, having the leadership is not the leader has the ability to do things. That actually had to be transferred to the team. That means that a leader has to have the skill to motivate their team to do the work to get the job done. So how are we using the AI technology to help make it efficient in this area is using the conversational AI, the chatbot. What we usually do is to train the model of the different personality tests, different personality type. So what the model we use, since I have the Robin Madonna's, Tony Robbins, life coaching training as a background. So I use that as a base of when I training the team, I will look at the personality because the leader is all about motivating and moving people. At least has been my experience when I'm leading the team. So for me to be able to get the team to be on the same page, align with the mission and value and goals to accomplish a project, I want to make sure I'm able to communicate in the styles that is fitting their personality. Otherwise, that would be just falling to deaf ears, right? So that's why we usually go with the DISC profile, which is for me, I'm a strong D. That means the person is short and direct and get to the point. And then we have another member in our team is it's an influencer. The person are positive, engaging, really like to connect with people. And then we also have the next step. It will be the S. The person is steady and they don't like to move very fast. So if you try to push them to move very fast, they stop. they just pause everything. So they're the type of people that are looking for support and reassurance. And the last one is the person that are very conscientiousness, that the person is looking for detail. They're detail oriented person. They're very factual. They're factual. The only thing they base on making a decision is fact. So the last two, the S and the C type, are usually slower in making decision. So, and this has happened a lot in our team. Actually, we just actually have a team meeting this morning. Totally sure on our team. Me, I'm a D, and we are fast. We make decision fast. We want moving something, quickly, and then we're motivated, positive. We are ready to go. And the one that need more support, assurance, and the one that need more data to be able to make decision, we have to be more patient, waiting on them to listen, given the opportunity to express their concern, to provide the certainty this is the right move, or actually hear exactly what was the part they're concerned about, or what would be the fact they need to help them make the decision. So that way, the communication style is not just the one way of the communication style, like, oh, I'm the leader, I'm taking the lead, you should just listen to me, right? So that is not type of a style that I have seen to be able to motivate people to actually take them to the, taking action steps. So that is kind of how I personally have using the ChatGPT, one of our using our AI tool. ChatGPT is really good with come up with the strategies. So from what I understand about the DISC profile, personality profile, so I fuse with the person that's actually saying to me in the messages. A lot of time it will be in the form of the email message or in their video. So I using the tool to convert what they say. It depends on what at the form they are sending the message to me. Of course, if it's a message, it'll be a lot easier to feed in the chat GPT. If not, I can convert the what the person said in the team meeting, and I can make that as a transcript and feed into the chat GPT to help me analyze based on this profile of this person, what he tried to say, what is the underlying emotion behind it, and what is the concern that I can take care of, and what would be the outcome the person is looking for. So when I understand what that person actually saying internally, they probably don't even realize that's how they make a decision based on their personality. I can literally kind of like go into their brain to using with the chat GPT's help. That become my strategy to communicate with my member. And that's when there's, I feel like you heard me. Now I'm ready to move forward because I feel I'm being heard. I'm being supported. You're reassured. The part I was more concerned about. And at that point, that person becomes self-motivated and they can do the work and get the job done.
Great points. In marketing, we call it, I'm taking the time to understand the psychographics of the individual. Because the more you understand the psychographics, what are the decision-making impulse that is driving at those personalities, you better know how to align, products and services, and to better connect with them. Love the concept. All right. We are very close to our wrap-up time, but I'm so glad that we were able to get a Tina expertise on board with the topic of the day. What I want to do, I want to shift some attention to Frank to see if he has anything else that he wants to add, and then I will come back to Kanchan and Tina, and then we'll start to wrap up on today's program. Frank?
One of the things I just want to hasten to say is that leaders must have, so necessary, because you need to have an understanding and managing of your emotions, as well as being able to empathize with your team members. And when you have that, it's crucial for building strong relationships, and you can navigate conflicts, and not to get into any more other than, which is important, which is sadly lacking in leadership, is in integrity and ethics. So one has got to learn to lead with integrity, because integrity builds trust. Integrity builds credibility. And these are vital for motivating your employees, your team, and maintaining stake relationships. And I'll close there for today.
All right, thanks for that share. Integrity builds trust, and I do believe as a leader you need to have, all of that. But Frank, I want to step up, but I want to step up with integrity and trust. I leave it where it is today. And I was going to American politics, but I leave it where it is today. Kanchan, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I think that essentially leadership is about creating a clear path, as in clear path of where we are going with our vision, like our company's vision, where are we trying to go, where are we trying to what are we trying to achieve. And I think that it's important that I think it's like leadership is about creating a clear path and communicating openly, as well as being adaptable, accountable. Okay, and when these essentials are integrated, I think leaders can kind of inspire their teams to perform at their maximum. Does that make sense? So
Perform at
that's
their
yeah.
maximum. I love what you said. Healthy leadership is about being able to create that clear path, a clear path that helps you to understand the destination that you want to get and how to get there. How to get there, I find very often for most people is very blurred,
Yeah.
because you don't have all of the knowledge set and perhaps the skill set.
Mhm.
But it is so important, very, very clear
Yeah.
as
It's
a
like
leader.
having a strong vision. Like it's very important to have a strong vision, right? As a leader. Otherwise, you wouldn't I mean like it doesn't there's no definition as to where the team or organization is headed if you don't have a clear vision.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Mhm.
I do believe that there is a way and in which you can have that clear vision. As time progresses, we will do further deep dive into leadership in the context of business concepts, and we will definitely examine more of what is being said. And I'm going to give a quick example on this. I do believe, as an economist, you are placed in a position where you can actually predict market trend. As a market researcher who is involved in marketing and market research, you can actually predict market trends. And based on your prediction of market trends, you can now innovate products and innovate services in alignment with those future development and guide the organization along those paths. And this is one of the reasons why we keep saying in business, you want to remain market oriented, you want to remain market sensitive,
Mhm.
and you want to remain market oriented. That's a blueprint that you need in order to win. Atina, your
So
closing thought?
So
Go
for
ahead.
my final thought, I would say leadership for us, of course, for us to be able to serve the customers. Ultimately, the customer is the one get a benefit for, what the team, work together to produce. So to me, it all starting from internal, which is the team in the leadership. So for me, is my experience has been learning the motives from individual team members to understand their personality type and how they like to be communicated, not how I want to communicate it with them, and then learn to communicate, be adaptable, be flexible to communicate with the style they like to be communicated, and then to fulfill their human needs. Well, this is another topic, 6 human needs. So this is one of those model I usually talked about in the Tony Robbins, things talk about 6 human needs. So once I'm able to fulfill that, their top two of the 6 human needs. Then once I'm able to identify what that is, and I'm able to fulfill their basic needs, then they know they'll be taken care of. So all that is at that point, only thing I really need to talk to the team about is to get everybody aligned. The why. Why are we doing this? Every project we start with a why. Why are we doing this? And what is this about? What are we doing here? And then once we know the why, because why is the motive. When we know the why, we have a strong why we're doing this, then what is just naturally come to the next things. Okay, what can we do to get it done? And then step 3 would be massive action. Then that's when we will list out all the actions necessary for this particular project. And we start chunking them into 3 to 5 categories. And what can be done to integrate it through the AI, or we can automate it through AI, or what would be the part it's left for human to take care of. So that's how we're able to segment the work and then become more efficient. As we know, when we become more efficient, the whole team become more effective and the profitability will go up as a corporation. And of course, the client will be ultimate one benefit from all those hard work we do. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, great points, Tina, very great points. There's a couple of things that I want to share in closing. One, I want to emphasize that people can never grow beyond their sense of self. All right, and I emphasize this: people can never grow go beyond their sense of self. So if you have people in the organization and you're training them for leadership, this is something that you need to be aware of, their sense of self. And I think as a great leader, you really want to train your team to have a strong sense of self. And perhaps in the next program, I'll discuss what that is. You need to train them to have a strong sense of purpose. And if they can align that purpose to the vision of the organization, I think as a good leader, that's something that you can really, put yourself in that position of strength to harness this. And the last is to ensure that you can help people to master a strong sense of direction with their lives. All right, so I know I talk in some bullet points here, but in the next program, I will try to go a little deeper into this to really help, rising stars in leadership, rising stars in business, to see the importance of what we are talking about. Because I do believe that it's nice to understand the theory, it's nice to have the knowledge, but it is so important to understand how to apply it. And the application of knowledge is where the leadership skills is truly tested. And so with that being said, I want to thank Kanchan for the knowledge that you have shared here today. And it's always, interesting just listening to you dive into your particular unique area of knowledge. And great to have you too, Atina. It's also always great having you to go into AI and to see how AI can, provide an aid, can be used as an aid in helping organizations to optimize their leadership and to optimize their impact and strategies. So those are all great concepts. Frank is not here. I know he had to go to another program, but I must say it has been such a pleasure having both of you here today on today's program titled Market Blueprint. And I do look forward to doing this again with you next week. And you guys will have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Elevate your business with 10x Branding and Marketing LLC. Our expert team specializes in enhancing your brand's visibility and connecting you with your ideal clients. We employ strategies that increase reach, leaving a lasting impact and driving client conversion. Trust and credibility are vital in businesses and excel in building them even with a limited budget. Our cost-effective approaches ensure you get the best results without overspending. Ready to boost your business cash flow? Contact us at 332-235-T99 and let 10x Branding and Marketing LLC guide you to success. Our focus is on elevating your visibility, which directly translates to growth. Experience the power of effective branding and marketing with us and witness your business thrive.